What's so funny? We are back. The Element Well studio, again, relocated to the heart of Collins, Mississippi. That's for the Okatoma River Festival, which is scheduled for tomorrow. 35th year. Man, that's quite the accomplishment to keep something like that going. But we are pleased to welcome now that the rain is out of here, by the way, and the wind has subsided, so stuff's not blowing around. But my good friend John Pope, the fire chief of the Collins Fire Department, also the president of the Mississippi Firefighters Association. Chief, always good to see you, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Well, appreciate the opportunity. Always great to have you in Collins.
Well, I really appreciate that. So this deal tomorrow, the Okatoma River Festival, the mayor just said maybe 75,000 people?
We've had, it varies from year to year. I think probably the standing number is probably around 15,000, 20,000. But we do have a large group that comes in. We started out years ago. There was a antique car show that was tied in with it. It went away for a few years. They brought that back. So we'll have the entire main street and side streets will be full of antique classic cars. Brings in a lot of additional people that come in. So we're looking for a lot of friends to come visit us tomorrow.
The antique cars are a big draw, aren't they?
They are.
People
they really
are fascinated with it.
They are, and the enthusiasts that we have, you know, I think it stems from how long like Cruising the Coast is going on.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people here. We have a couple local car cruising clubs here in Collins that have shows as well, but they're the ones that sponsored this one. And it's nice. It's fun to be able to walk around and look. A few years ago, they had a Chief's Choice Award that they let me go through and pick out, my top choice, and it was really fun. So it brings a lot of people as well.
Well, it's neat that the enthusiasts, I have some friends that are into that, and it's amazing. They travel around the country, as you know, participating in these car shows. But there's a camaraderie and a bond between the folks that do that. It's incredible.
It is. It's a great event, a great time, and just people enjoy showing off what they've worked hard to restore. I've got a 1951 Chevrolet Perche pumper fire truck that's mine. I'm in the process of restoring. It's not ready to come to the show this year, but the brakes don't work right now, so I could cruise through, but I couldn't stop. So maybe next year.
That's awesome. 1951. Yep. So you were just telling me off the air you've been in Washington. Tell us about that.
We went with a group of delegates for the Congressional Fire Service Institute meetings. We've been doing that for about the last 13 or 14 years, going up in the spring to meet with our congressmen and senators, talk about the issues that are facing the fire service of the state of Mississippi, but the nation as well. And, of course, we have a good group of congressmen and senators representing us in D.C. We met with them, talked about some important issues. Biggest thing facing is the assistance to firefighters and the SAFER grant programs that the government has. Those have been in place for many years. They're important. A lot of Mississippi departments can take part in that, and that helps us to be able to keep our community safer. The sunset on that particular legislation is coming September 30th. So there was already bills on both the House and the Senate sides to bring that back. So we just talked to them about that, a few other issues, and then just to answer questions that they've got. But we had good meetings, went up on Sunday, flew back late on Wednesday, and had a very successful, another successful trip to D.C. with representatives from all over the state representing both the firefighters and the fire chiefs associations.
Well, when we think, of course, about fighting fires, and honestly, on behalf of Mississippians, I'm certainly grateful for those who have chosen that profession and keep us safe in many ways and help us when a fire arises. But fire prevention, Chief, I saw a statistic where a house fire occurs like almost every week in the state of Mississippi. I mean, it's something across the state.
Really,
right?
and truthfully, probably more regularly than that.
I was amazed at that. I got that from the American Red Cross, which is involved quite a bit in responding to house fires.
We do, the Red Cross assists in the event of home fires to assist the families that are displaced. And they also offer assistance for emergency responders on scene with canteen services and such as well. Mississippi has done a lot of work in trying to curb the number of home fires that we have and also the number of fire deaths that we have. Partnerships and programs with the Department of Insurance, with the Fire Marshal's Office, and installing smoke alarms in the home, providing those where fire departments can go out and place those free of charge in residences is very important to try to do that. The Fire Marshal's Office has a shoe board that has a pair of shoes for each fire death that's occurred, and the shoes are age appropriate to if it's a child or an adult or etc. And they take that and put it on display, and it really puts things into perspective. So it's that visual that you look at, and it makes you pause and think about that.
Yeah.
We would hope and pray that we could have a year that we had no fire deaths, and sadly, we've had a number this year, but we do everything we can to try to reduce those numbers. And fire prevention, starts with very young, but it's not just with the children in school; it's throughout all ages.
Yeah. I know the Red Cross has, just thinking about them, has this initiative called Sound the Alarm, where they're just trying to get people to simply install smoke alarms.
Exactly.
In their homes, and make sure they keep the batteries fresh as well. Is that a pretty big preventative tool?
It's a very, very important tool. That's the easiest and the quickest piece of protection that you can put in your home to save your life or your family's life. Having a operable smoke alarm in every bedroom and in any common areas and such is just extremely important. The fire department, we've got a program that will be starting this month. We're going to be going out and doing installs. We had a fire the other evening about a week ago. It was a stove fire. The smoke alarm went off. The gentleman had stepped away from a pot of grease that was on the stove, didn't realize he'd left it on, went in the back of the home. Smoke alarm went off, notified him. He was able to get out safely. The fire department got there and extinguished the fire. Minimal damage and no injuries. So the smoke alarm alerted him. And that's the thing is, early notification if you have a fire is key to being able to get out safely and get your family members out safely.
And that's inexpensive, too.
Yeah, you can. Smoke alarms, in the programs we have now, and most any department in the state can access these free alarms. But if your department doesn't have access to those, you can go buy a smoke alarm for as little as $8 to $12. And most homes are going to need probably between 4 to 6 at the most. So for less than $100, you can give that yourself and your family that peace of mind of safety.
Well, worth it. So, Chief, you've been following the action under the dome this year. Anything in particular related to firefighters?
We have. Well, of course, we were watching the PERS PERS situation, and appreciate all of your insight and information that you've covered with it, and appreciate the legislature, taking the appropriate actions that they have. One bill that came out was, I believe it's 2487, which deals with the Law Enforcement and Firefighters Death Benefit Fund. Yeah. That's a bill that the association worked on years ago to get that increase from the $65,000 to the $100,000. Now this new bill, thanks in part to the blackout tags and the revenue that it's done,
right.
Commissioner Tyndall worked with the House and the Senate leadership to propose that bill to bring an increase to that death benefit. I was just on the phone with Commissioner Tyndall this morning for about an hour, and he and I were talking about that bill and now heading to the governor for signature. And that's going to increase that from $100,000 to $150,000, but there's also some additional benefits to that. Dollars to help utilize to pay funeral expenses for firefighters and law enforcement officers. Additional funds for dependent children of firefighters and law enforcement officers who die in the line of duty. So I commend Commissioner Tyndall for his work on that, the legislature and the House and the Senate. That's important. We know in the vocation of fire and emergency services and law enforcement, there again, we hope that we don't lose a brother or sister in the line of duty. But when that worst does happen, this is something that can be there to assist that family when they need that the most, because that firefighter or law enforcement officer might be the primary breadwinner for that family.
Yeah. And
them getting that assistance, not only from the federal side, there's a federal line of duty death benefit, but that state benefit, that might mean the difference in a family, being able to keep their home when they've lost a loved one. And with a majority of the fire service in the state of Mississippi being volunteer, that's huge. So definitely that was one we watched very closely. There were some other bills, but that was probably the biggest. There's some things that we looked at dealing with the fire insurance rebate funds. That one didn't get across the line to try to see a percentage change to that. We're going to come back, regroup, and come back at it again next year and see about that, possibly getting it enacted.
We got about a minute left, but Commissioner Cheney, I know, makes the point rather regularly that we're in need of more trucks or upgrades to existing trucks or just modernization of other firefighting assets and tools. How are we doing there?
Well, and he's very true in that. He's done a great job in trying to support that. Fire apparatus are very expensive. It takes longer to get one in when you order it, and we need to give our emergency responders the best equipment we can to keep them safe.
Absolutely.
So that they can go to protect lives and property.
Yeah. Well, Chief, certainly appreciate all you do, and you represent the firefighters of Mississippi so well, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you on today.
Well,
thank you.
Pleasure to be on there with you. Thank you again for everything you do, and thank you for being in Collins today.
Yes, sir. Fire Chief of Collins Fire Department, John Pope, also the president of the Mississippi Firefighters Association, has been our guest. Folks, we're coming right back. We got half an hour of middays left. We're in Collins, Mississippi for the Okatoma River Festival.